MKast.
Hey, welcome to the MKast. This is Hans with Hector, and as you can probably see, we got a few extra guys here, part of our design team.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
John Edwards, lead designer.
Paul Garcia, the other lead designer.
Brian LeBaron, designer.
So these are the guys that actually really design the games, the moves that you see.
A lot of you guys have been asking a lot of questions of Hans and I on Twitter over the last few weeks, and as much as we would like to answer a lot of them, we don't necessarily have the...
We're not qualified,
yeah,
per
the
se.
360 degrees of knowledge that these guys have in here. So we decided to bring these guys on board today to kind of show you guys and talk to you guys a little bit about the real nuts and bolts of the game. But before we get into your questions, I guess... it's been pretty busy last couple months over the last couple things.
Yeah, a lot of travel, a lot of shows to really show off the game. I mean, like we went to Gamescom in Germany.
Yeah.
There was a GameStop event down in San Antonio. Was that we did?
We did. We had E3 earlier this summer, and then we just had PAX.
Yep.
Recently. PAX was the first time that we were actually able to bring the build of the game out to the public and actually have free reign. Anybody that wanted to pay the money to come into the show was able to come and play the game. These guys actually came up. How did you guys feel about PAX and actually seeing people playing the game for the first time in front of you?
It was cool. It was cool. It's always a little nerve-wracking the first time you see, a bunch of people just randomly picking up controllers, and you don't really have a nice controlled environment to kind of dictate what they should be doing. You see a lot of weird things cropping up here and there. So it's almost like a little mini QA session as well. But it's really cool to see the fans' reaction to stuff.
I think the game showed pretty well. I mean, it was pretty solid. I don't think we really had any real issues at all.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was probably one of the better showings we've had in a while. I was really nervous going in there that horrible things were going to happen. It worked out.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about showing the game off at such an early stage, kind of in development?
It's a mixed bag where a lot of times we're scared to show off features, but in the same place, it's also exciting to get some of it out there and get feedback.
We had some crazy lines out there. I mean, it was a constant flow of people wanting to play the game. A couple guys I saw went through like 3 or 4 times in a day.
They would come through and ask questions. Each time they come through, like, oh, how do you do this? And they go,
it's like, wait, didn't I just see you like 10 minutes ago?
But other than that, I mean, the last couple months have just been really pumping out all the content. We've had a bunch of shoots. I know you guys have been involved in the shoots. I don't know, Brian, maybe you can talk the guys through on how we actually get ready for a motion capture shoot for a character and stuff.
The first thing we like to do is we know what the special moves are going to be for a lot of the characters. So because we know from previous games, and what we like to do is come up with do MK2, MK3, which one of their special moves do we want to use? Then we kind of look at it and say, okay, is there a way we can make this better? Maybe kind of change it up a little bit, but keep the same feel and the same gameplay as we had before that people know and love. And when we go into vocab, we come up with ideas and say, okay, let's try it this way, try it that way. We get the animations back from them, and then we kind of tweak them out, and we all kind of look at it, throw it through QA, have a couple people look at it and play it and see how it is, And
how nervous are you guys for changing things up? I know a lot of people, when they have this idea of Scorpion in their mind, they kind of have this kind of ideal way of, hey, Scorpion has to do these things. How hard is it for you guys to kind of
it's a huge
take it to the next
concern.
level?
When we think about recreating or changing a move, we all have our own issues with it. I'll be like, oh, I want it to go this way, and everybody will be like, oh, I want it to go this way, and we have to keep the specific element, and we try and stay true to the original stuff. So
Ton of Square Wave is a good example of a move that's pretty different, but behaves the same as the original Square Wave move, but it looks a lot better in the animation.
Yeah, we're trying to maybe take some of the stuff from the past 2D games where animation quality was not quite as good as it is nowadays, right? Because we can't, just back then it was just individual frames. Yeah, exactly. You have some 7 frames of a pose, obviously just cannot look as cool as what we can do nowadays. So we're trying to take some of those old classic moves and reimagine them. So property wise, they are kind of the same, but visually they're way.
But that's not stopping you guys from thinking of some new cool moves too. I mean, you're not sticking with just the old set.
No, yeah, I mean, this is kind of like a reimagining of Mortal Kombat. So while we are trying to keep the personality of the fighters, prevalent, we also want to make sure that there's enough new stuff there for fans. Like no one wants to play the exact same game, time after time after time. So it is kind of a challenge finding out those places where we want to keep the game the same and the places where we kind of want to innovate a little bit more.
Who of the characters that you guys have shown now is your favorites now, as far as like working on their moves and making them? I know that you're a huge Katana fan, so I don't even have to ask you. But these guys, of the characters that you guys have been working on, who have you guys put together that you're like, wow, this is the blank blank that I've always wanted to play?
It's usually the last guy I'm working on. I don't think I've never really had a solid favorite. Even when I was playing fighting games, I've always tried to learn every character equally. That's why I was like random select in the old MK games, was the fact that you had to pretty much master every character.
Is it also partially because like you come up with new ideas that are like, oh, I'm implementing on this guy.
Yeah.
Now he's my favorite. Or
Yeah,
she's my favorite.
every character that we make, we learn something from that one, and then so that's can from the new ideas for characters that are kind of coming up. And in a lot of cases, that's actually bad for us, because we'll come up with something really cool, like what, everyone needs to have something like this, and we have to go back and change all the past characters. So
How do you guys feel about, now let's just take two examples. I'll take Cyrax, which is one of the last revealed characters that we had. We obviously revealed him at Gamescom, and then somebody like Johnny Cage, who was available at E3. Do you guys go back and revisit somebody like Johnny Cage once you've completed somebody like Cyrax and have kind of like perfected things, or like how do you guys deal with
Johnny
that?
Cage has a couple of combos that he didn't have in E3 that he had in PAX, or even like last week, I added a couple of combos to Reptile that he didn't have back then, and we changed the way some moves work. So it's pretty much always ongoing process where we have to go back to characters we've already done and rebalance them as we're adding new ones.
So it's pretty safe to say that a lot of the gameplay videos that have been put out online are
That always hurts us. Like even at PAX, the build we were playing at PAX was already way older than any of the stuff we had. Like some blocking properties have changed, combo breakers have changed since the PAX build, and then we always have these big gameplay changes. But with the press builds, we've got to be really safe on the changes that we make. So
now you do realize by just saying that we're gonna get like 1,000 Twitter and
Yes.
emails saying like, we need more video, we need more
right.
screenshots.
People are going to want to see what these changes are, but it's a good thing. I don't want, and I'm sure you guys feel the same way. I know you don't want people to make judgments on what this game is going to be like this early in the process.
Yeah.
Like we're still trying to figure out. I want to give you guys a taste, but
Yeah, one of the things is like the demos that we've shown, it's really early compared to where we have in the past in the terms of where we are in development. Usually it's just a few months before release. We're literally like half a year or more just showing you guys stuff that, it's just very, very early. And, when people say, you need to change, I go, trust us, we're still balancing, we're still tweaking.
we haven't even gotten to like the real balancing phase of stuff, right? Like once the cast is kind of complete, we got to go through and get an idea of where individual characters are at and where they fit as far as completeness. And at that point, that's when we really start focusing on getting everybody cleaned up, tweaked out.
I heard a quote once, and basically what they said was that character balancing is kind of the dark arts of the video game world. It's very complicated, very very involved kind of thing. Like I don't know, maybe you guys can kind of speak to that, like what that process is of actually balancing a character versus somebody else. Like how do you not stop yourself from giving your character or your favorite character just that little bit of edge over the other one? Like how do you guys kind of limit yourselves?
It's oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
They don't want to give their secrets away. I think that's just one of the secrets. But I mean, just very basic, very general. I'm not.
Yeah, it's hard. Well, most fighting games are made around systems, right? So there's complete systems that kind of every character has to kind of fall into. It's like super meter stuff, and our tag mode, and throws and blocks, and get up attacks. All these kind of things are kind of large systems that get balanced kind of outside of the realm of an individual character. And then individual characters have their own personality as far as how they kind of interact within those systems, and that's where like the real hard tweaking kind of gets. It's easy for us to say, hey, you know what? Let's put damage scaling on combos so that as each hit of a combo increases, the damage goes down so people can't, bust out, 9 hit, 300% combos. But then there may be characters that kind of don't follow that ruling, that they may have resets or something, kind of reset the combo, the damage scaling and whatnot.
Fit more of the character's persona or style is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Just kind of balancing it.
And a lot of it is ongoing, too. That's some of the big thing. And some point down the line, as soon as we have like most of the characters done, we plan on bringing in a lot of people to just sit there and play test the game for a good while to sit there and balance things out. We were under such like time constraints that we weren't able to get a lot of that QA time.
Yeah, totally. That's been one of the really good things about being under Warner Brothers,
Yes.
and we've been pushing that a lot, and I think we've all said that in at least one or two interviews collectively, is that being under Warner Brothers is just allowing us that extra kind of buffer window to kind of polish the game.
The proper time to actually balance work.
Yeah, to actually do the things. Not saying that we didn't do a good enough job in some of the older ones, but just having any game developer will tell you if you have that one extra day, these are the things that I would have changed. That if I had 2 more days, this is what. If I had 3 more days, now we have that kind of like they're not giving us infinity, but they're giving us
window to do it is
Exactly.
much more bigger and more flexible than what we had in the past.
Well, the other thing too is like, no matter how much kind of QA time you put into a game-driven development process, if I hired 200 testers to come in the last several months to bang on the game, like the first day that our game comes out,
People sold.
right?
there's
it's,
thousands of people.
hopefully millions, but there'll be hundreds of thousands of hours in that first day of people playing it. There's really no way to kind of prepare fully for that. So
You got to hire a million testers.
you have to hire a million testers. Yeah,
That's going to hurt our budget.
Yeah, we might have to.
So something we've done this year, which I think is a pretty clever idea, is most of our gameplay stuff as far as characters and systems is tweakable after the game ships without having to put out a complete patch. So if we do put out something and there's some broke, someone has an infant or something like that, it should be fairly trivial for us to fix that at some point in the short term. Yeah, without having to wait 8 months to throw out a huge patch. We just kind of go in there and fix it on the fly. So while of course everyone's goal as a game developer is to try to release a bug-free product, it's really tough, especially with the way that game development is kind of going nowadays and how big games are and how complicated they are, especially with a fighting game where balance is so important and where we're constantly changing characters all the way up until up to ship. It's really important that we have a feature like that. So pretty excited about it.